Hi, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
We're ready to call the meeting to order, please.
Okay. We'll call this meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission for the town of Hilton Head to order. And first order of business would be to make sure that we're in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act.
Yes, we are.
That's always a good thing. Okay. This is a virtual meeting, and so and it's our first one. So wanted to kind of give you just a little heads up. We are going to be doing a lot of things by roll call, and so Eileen will be when we have a vote, we'll be taking a roll, and also to make sure that we have enough for a quorum, we'll be doing the same. And so at this time, I'm going to ask if Eileen would please call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Jack Daly,
Here.
Mr. Jerry O'Connor,
Here.
Mr. Joseph Monmonier. I'm sorry if I messed that name up.
Okay.
Mr. Paul Bowes,
Here.
Mr. Ray Kasaya,
Here.
Mr. Thomas Dowling,
Here.
and Mr. William Zarilla.
Here.
Great, thank you.
All right, so at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes. And I believe that would have been for our, I'm not sure, Eileen, what meeting that would have been. It's been so long.
That was March 12th, 2020.
Okay.
Rick
So-
Butch, are we
Yes,
not going to do the swearing in?
we will in a minute.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for our March meeting.
I so
Is there?
move.
Go ahead.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. If you have any commissioners, if you have any changes in the minutes, if you'll state them when called upon by Eileen, otherwise vote yes or no to approve the minutes. So Eileen, once again, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Monmonier,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Bowes,
Yes.
Mr. Dowling,
Yes.
Mr. Zarilla,
Yes.
Mr. Kasaya.
Yes. Okay. At this point in our meeting, it's sort of bittersweet, but we have two members of our commission that are going to be going off. They have done yeoman's work. And so at this time, we will have the presentation of the Crystal Award to Commissioners Mike Ray and Carol Reinhardt. And I want to say a couple of things. First is for Caroline, it's been an honor and a privilege serving with you on this commission. And I know that behind the scenes, especially with the master plan work and the surveys and things, you did a lot of work behind the scenes to help get the data that we needed. And I just wanted to say thank you for all of your work. And Mike, I want to tell you that I think your leadership as chairman of this commission and got us started, and we wouldn't be where we are today if you hadn't of taken that role on, and you have served very well on this commission. And I want to tell you personally that I appreciate everything you've done and have enjoyed developing a friendship. So, Mike, thank you very much. So, let's see. So we appreciate your service, and I understand that you can arrange to pick up your award at Town Hall with Eileen. Is that correct, Eileen?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So with that, we'll move on, but thank you. I know Mike's here. I don't know if Caroline is here. Mike, have you got anything you want to say? I think I saw him. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to turn this over to the Assistant Town Manager, Josh Gruber, for the swearing-in ceremony for our new commissioners, and somehow or another they reappointed me. So, Josh, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all this afternoon. For the two new members and yourself, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties
to exercise the duties
of the office to which I have been appointed,
to the office of which I have been appointed,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend
and preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state
the Constitution of this state
and of the United States.
and of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. We greatly appreciate all of your service to the town in this regard.
Thank you, Josh. So, Joe, have you got any comments you'd like to make now that you're duly appointed?
Just excited, ready to get started. Been doing a lot of reading. I watched a couple meetings, listened to a couple meetings. Been going through the notes, just trying to get myself up to speed here. So yeah, I'm excited to be a part of this, and right in the exciting time when hopefully things will be getting built and improved.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Bill, you got anything you would like to say?
I would kind of second a lot of that. I think I've gone through the survey, the report, and I find it amazingly comprehensive, and I think it's a great start. I think I'm coming in at a great time when things can actually start happening from the report, and that'll be the challenge going forward. But and my compliments to whoever worked on this. It's I think it's quite a document and very useful. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. Mike, I see your back up on my screen anyway. You're leaving the commission. I wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to say anything to the other commissioners and to myself about what your thoughts are, or if not, that's okay too.
Well, hopefully you can hear me, Butch.
I can.
I was having some audio problems. I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you, so I was in and out there for a while. But it seems to be, seem to have fixed it. I've had a great time on the Parks and Rec Commission. It's been a great experience. I've met a lot of great people, and including yourself and Jerry and Heather and people who have not on the commission anymore. Paul, I don't want to leave you out. Joe, it's great to see you, and know you'll be doing a great job with all you've done in the past, working with the school and stuff. So I'm proud that we were able to move forward with the master plan, which for almost 3.5 years, that was kind of the start of when I was there. Heather was like, "Hey, we got a chance to do the master plan." And when she left, and she put it in my lap, and I was pretty intimidated, but had a lot of help moving forward, and we finally got to this point just to be able to read through it and see that where it's gone, and it's up to you gentlemen now to continue that, but it seems to be again moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for your service, and appreciate it. And don't be a stranger. If you see any of us around and you see some things you want to see done, let us know, okay?
I'm always pretty outspoken, but I'll leave it in your hands, Butch. I know you got a lot of experience and got a good team of guys there. So I
Yep.
will let you continue on, and I guess I'll go play some pickleball right now.
Well, there you go. All right. Thanks, Mike. You take care, buddy.
Have a good one.
All right. Okay, so we'll move on now to citizen comments. Public comments were to be submitted electronically via the town's open town hall, and there were comments submitted, and they will become part of the record of this meeting. And also, citizens provided the opportunity to sign up for public comment by phone. I believe we have one person who has signed up, and I believe Eileen is going to arrange for that to happen. And as far as the other comments that were made electronically, I don't know, did you get copies of those? Did you get an email of those? Okay. All right. So Eileen, we have, I think, Skip Hoagland wants to make comments.
Yes, that is
To the
correct.
commission? So we can do that at this time. And again, public comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, great. Yeah, I got 3 minutes, and it's all related to Parks and Recreation. So just let me finish, and then if anybody has anything to say, I'm happy to comment back. First of all, I want to thank you for your time and your service. I hope we can all agree that quality parks, recreational facilities, bike paths, boating ramps, beach repairs is more important now than ever. I hope we can agree it takes lots of hard-earned tax money, your money, to pay for quality facilities and maintain these facilities. I hope we can agree Parks Recreation is not just for locals, families, but for tourists and visitors. I hope we can agree when we all have identified waste and even illegal misuse of our tax funds by our local chamber DMO, these millions of tax funds to be shifted to places that offer the best use and return for our taxpayers' money, like Parks and Recreation is a perfect example. Unfortunately, our local officials like Riley, Gruber, Lennox, McCann, and many others seems to be controlled these days by our local chamber. And worse, they keep funding Bill Miles millions of dollars with zero transparency, receipts, invoices, or even proven returns on our investment. They're also, the town is in violation of my FOIA, which we all should be outraged about, and allowing Bill Miles to earn $400,000 salary that's generated from our tax funds. This just makes no sense. And he's claiming it's the secret sauce, and he will not tell us what he's doing with these funds. The DMO chamber is a failed old business model, does not produce tourism, and has been replaced by technology. Let's shift this money to the Parks and Recreation to benefit our entire community and our visitors. Steve Riley is leaving, in my opinion, long overdue. Seems Josh Gruber versus an honest outsider will take over to keep the waste and the illegal misuse of our tax funds moving forward. I ask all of you to ask that the Chamber aid tax funds are shifted to the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Committee. Final FYI, Dwayne Parrish, head of the South Carolina Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, is also in violation of my FOIA, as is the Hilton Head, town of Hilton Head, on the millions they hand to Bill Miles and other entities in this state, and this must stop. So I say this, and I know this is a little outrageous, but it's true, and I live by it. If anybody disputes what I say and can prove that I'm wrong, I will write you a check for $1 million or donate to your favorite charity. I'm that committed to cleaning up corruption and making our local officials, McCann, Riley, and all of them, everybody, Gruber, everybody, that to become honest and live and comply to our laws and transparency to all of us as taxpayers. The non-transparency and the non-accountability must end. Thank you so much.
Oh, he's done.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Hoagland.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lots of luck to y'all. Again, appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from anybody? Okay. All right, that becomes part of the record. So let's move on now to, we have no unfinished business. So under new business, we have a discussion of the draft Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And I don't know I'm not sure if there's a presentation on this by staff. Thought there was, but Eileen, is Taylor there?
Hey there, Mr. Chairman. This is Taylor. I am here.
Hey, Taylor.
Hi there.
Hi.
Welcome, new commissioners. I'm excited to work with you guys and the rest of the Parks and Rec Commission on moving this exciting program forward. So I'm just going to run through. This is going to sound a little familiar to those of you who attended or watched the task group meeting, but just for the record, and for those who are unfamiliar with this, I'm just going to read a little introduction about what we're looking at today. So Lowe's Design, our Parks and Rec consultant, delivered the final draft of this plan in June. What we're reviewing under this agenda item includes their budget, staffing, maintenance, needs assessment, and gap analyses for the Town of Hilton Head Island's Parks and Recreation System. This document is intended to be informative, data-driven, and a starting point for a larger process that entails planning and development for our Parks and Recreation System. The town's overarching Parks and Recreation Master Plan is a multi-step process. If you'll notice, the title for the Lowe's report says Parks and Recreation Master Plan Part 1. As Part 1, it lays the groundwork and provides research that is integral to taking the next steps towards progress for Parks and Recreation. The graphic with the boxes on it that you received in your agenda packet as one of the exhibits with the memo shows how Part 1 fits in the bigger picture. Part 2 is how this information is incorporated into the town's new comprehensive plan, our plan, that the Parks and Rec Task Group discussed earlier this month. The result of Part 2 is action items, goals, and strategies for Parks and Recreation based on the review of recommendations and public comments throughout the process. Ultimately, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan Part 1 will be included in the town's comprehensive plan as an appendix item to support the section in our plan about Parks and Recreation. So this section in the new comp plan lays the groundwork for Part 3 of the process, which entails prioritization of projects, feasibility and funding analyses for projects, and policy, and the most exciting point, conceptual site planning. This is where we will get into the details of how the recommendations will be implemented. This will also be incorporated into the town's CIP process. Finally, Part 4 is the implementation, where we start to build parks and initiate new policy. So all this to say, the report we're discussing today is a guiding document at the very beginning of an exciting process. So I want to thank all of you for your contributions so far in service on those of you, Mr. Daly and Chairman on the task group, and the rest of you who've been involved in that. We had a great kind of special joint meeting back in March that you guys approved the minutes for today with the Lowe's Design consultants there to discuss this. They went back and took all the comments from that and have presented the final document, which is what you guys are looking at today. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have, and I'm happy to answer questions as needed.
Thank you, Taylor. And I want to say first off that I don't think we would have gotten this far without your help, and the staff did a great job in really sort of riding herd over Lowe's and making sure they got things done right, and also the work that you did in getting public comment and from folks that eventually made its way into the plan. It was a job well done, and so here we are. with the opportunity now to make a recommendation to council to adopt the plan. I think that for the benefit of our new members, I want to reiterate that the plan itself is really sort of the base document. It's the justification for things that are in the town's comprehensive plan under Parks and Recreation. It's the meat that we use to help folks understand, specifically town council understand why we have the action items that we're going to have in the comp plan. And the comp plan itself is a multifaceted document that basically serves as the guide for what the town will be doing. And so when policy decisions are made by council, they go back to that comp plan to define what those policy decisions should be. And so having this background information, having the information and the action items in the comp plan under a specific section for Parks and Recreation is a huge step forward for parks and recreation on our island. And again, this could have never happened without the really yeoman effort by Taylor and others on the staff. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. And at this time, we'll open up the floor for discussion of the master plan. And to do that, we are going to, in a systematic way, I'll call on Eileen again to call the roll. And at that time, you can make any comments or that you have about, and then we'll come back to the work that we need to do to get this moved on to council. So, Eileen, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, Mr. Daly.
Comments about the master plan.
My master plan. I like it. It's a good start. Baseball and I'll add some larger fields there. We all know from the visioning task group that USCB is looking for a baseball home, and we could have an actual NCAA sports team on our island. That's something we don't have, and that's quite a draw. That's quite a hometown team that we just don't have. The golfers come through and they leave. They're not really our hometown team. We could do that. That's something new. That's impressive. I like the ideas for of this pocket parks, Taylor Park and Patterson Park, adding some more parks in there. Sort out the Mid-Island Park, but I think it's a good start. And I appreciate, the town taking over these parks as far as the maintenance. That's done a great job at crossings. It's already better having the town involved instead of Beaufort County. I can't wait to see what Barker could be, when the town dives into that. So it's a good first start. It's a good place to begin, and I liked it.
Okay, Mr. Okama.
I'm really happy with it. This overall, I think it's very comprehensive. I think that the one thing that gives me comfort is that I'm happy with the process that was followed. And things like this, you could go through something like this and have voices feel like their voices weren't heard. And I believe that the group that drove this process really made sure that everybody had multiple different ways to get their views and suggestions and druthers across to everybody. So I'm very happy with that. I had a couple of questions too. I'll just ask them quickly. One is, are we happy with the treatment so far? And I know this isn't the final, but with artificial surfaces, I know over time, over many meetings, we've talked about the utility of artificial surfaces, and I'm just hoping that the coaches of the soccer group and the baseball group and everyone else involved is nodding and saying that the surfaces that we're going to be playing over the foreseeable future are ones that you're happy with. The naming rights I thought was really an interesting concept to look at. And I'm sure that the right people will be looking at that at the right point. I can't tell whether that's meant to be, I guess in the document itself, it talks about an annual payment for naming rights. I'm wondering also if that could also encompass someone with a one-time type gift. I assume that if you have enough money, you can probably change the rules on that. But I really think that's a very, very, very good thing to add to our arsenal of how we're going to finance these upgrades. The concept that you see when they're talking about the beach parks and so forth, I'm reading more and more in editorials and the like from some people saying that it would be good to have one beach that was dedicated to residents. Now, I don't know exactly which one that would be, and I don't know how you police that and everything, but that did have some intrigue to me. I don't see that mentioned in here. It's probably a level of detail that hasn't been attacked yet. There's a reference to a mid-island tract, and I live in Hilton Head Plantation, so I'm way on the north end of the island. But I can't tell when I look at the map that they included in the document that we read exactly which parcel that is. I know that the town owns, tons of parcels, and this is meant to be one of them. But I was just wondering, where is this? What is this across the street from? Where, how do I get oriented to where this mid-island tract might be?
Mr. Okarma, that is the Fort Royal Golf Course. The town owns a portion of formerly called Planters Row Golf Course.
Okay, that answers that.
Gotcha.
Yes, thank you very much. That helps a lot. And then the issue that we've addressed numerous times through this process and before this process is, from a staffing standpoint, does it make sense at this point for Hilton Head Island to have a senior town staff that sits on top of the things that are going on at the various parks, not just the maintenance, but also have a senior experienced person with a Hilton Head Island T-shirt that is kind of driving the train. I noticed that in the recommendations after their review, they don't recommend that. I didn't see a great discussion of why, but I guess they did compare to other organizations, other cities and towns and so forth, to get comfort that what we're doing now is good, and that what we should continue to do is to continue to build up resources at the Island Rec Center. And the maintenance upgrades and so forth, as Jack said, I'm thrilled to see all that in there. It's much needed. How many, when does a meeting go by when someone doesn't come in front of us and say that the fields aren't in the shape that they should be in, and I'm afraid to take my kids out there, and things like that. So I'm glad to see that. And I thought it was interesting, my last comment was when you look at the master plan part 1, it goes through, pretty good detail of what's the role of the Island Rec Center, what's the role of town council, what's the role of, maintenance and so forth. I didn't see anything that said maybe I missed it. What's the role of the Parks and Rec Commission? Because they did have one reference in there that said that the Island Rec Center's board and management structure, if you will, leadership structure, is similar to what a Parks and Recreation Commission would look like. Something like that. I'm using my own words, but I just thought that somewhere in there would have been a chart showing a role that we play as advising town council and the like, but there wasn't unless I missed it. Having said all that, I'm thrilled with where we are. I was there at the beginning too with Mike Ray and the others when we really wanted to get somebody's attention to support what has happened here now, and through a succession of meetings and interactions and cajoling and ribbing and everything else, we're at where we are now, which I think is a very, very, very good place. So I'm very, very happy with it. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph Monmonier?
Thank you. Yes, I was very impressed with the plan. Also, when I was interviewed to be on the commission, a lot of our issues with staffing, people working in Hilton Head, trying to build a base for families, give their young people an opportunity to have athletic facilities, sports fields, things like that, to draw families more to Hilton Head. So hopefully that will help us with our population here that can work in our restaurants and in some of our areas, because I know my daughter works at some of the various restaurants. So getting that to help out some of our local economy here. Really excited about all the different things that are going on. When I got on the commission, I was primarily thinking about sports facilities and parks in that direction, but I had no idea about the beach parks and things like that. So that's even more exciting for me to get involved in that. But I really don't have any other comments other than I'm excited to work. I think the plan's great. I think what everybody did so far is great, and just willing to serve.
Mr. Bose?
Thank you. Yes, I think that the plan overall seems to look great. I think it's really been neat to see everybody coming together and working together to have this outcome of a plan thus far. It's been great to see the different sports and beach parks that we do have. And one area I'd like to see a little bit more focus on is the historic and cultural parks that we have on the island. I think it really separates us from a lot of different areas, and it would be great to see more emphasis on those rich areas that we have. But overall, I think it looks great, and I think everyone's done a good job so far, and look forward to helping see this through. Thank you.
Mr. Dowling?
Yeah, hi. I'm looking at it. I'm pleased that there are various recommendations. One of the things that I really like is the sports tourism and trying to concentrate a little bit on that. And having the hometown baseball team would really help with that because it would give some exposure to the island. So I'd like to really see if we can get that sports tourism going. I think that'll be good for the economy and help with the facilities, because more people come in, there's more of a reason to maintain them. And speaking of that, I like the maintenance upgrades. I did also see a dog park. I like the idea of that. I know we have one, but I like having another one. And I'm looking forward to executing the plan and really starting to see this all come to fruition, because I know it's a lot of work. And when it finally starts to happen, that'll be a great thing.
Mr. Zerrilla?
Yes, thank you. As I said, my comments a little earlier, I thought it's a really quite comprehensive plan. And I think it's a good sales tool to convince, as I read through it, it was kind of like, boy, this sounds like a good idea. This sounds like a good idea. I think there are, a great number of good ideas in there. Probably my biggest concern when I look at it is kind of time and money to accomplish this, and also setting priorities. I think, perhaps now is the time to do that. But for instance, you mentioned the Mid-Island track Port Royal. I played golf there. It's years ago, but it's it's almost like Central Park for the island. And that means you can see it coming down 248. Now you see weeds growing and trees falling down. I think doing some work there will just make the appearance look nice and have a nice Central Park. It has cart paths and things like that. So, so I like that idea. But, my concern is, we talked a little bit about staffing. Who's the champion of the project, and how will this go through the various steps to get funding approved, to get plans produced, and how will we prioritize what gets done next or first, or are we going to try to tackle the whole document and try to get it all approved and all funded and all, I think that's too much to tackle. I think there needs to be some prioritization as what the big hits are here and how we can do them quickly. So yeah, I think that, that basically would cover my questions and concerns here on the plan.
Mr. Chairman?
I echo the comments that have been made, and I think that the document itself is a really good start, that it really sets the stage for what we want to do. I'll also tell you that I think we have a lot of work ahead of us. If in a minute, if we decide that we are going to recommend this document to council and it becomes part of the comprehensive plan, there are recommendations in the comprehensive plan that I think address a lot of your concerns, specifically in staffing. And then we're going to have to get down to brass tacks as to deciding where do we go next, and as far as the parks that are identified in the master plan as needing upgrades, or in some cases it's dig it up and start over again, and so we'll start doing site specific planning effort for those parcels, and it comes down to not only what we would like to see, but how does all of that fit back into a unified park system? So we got a lot of work ahead of us, and so I think that the report itself is very good, and I would say that I support it and moving forward to town council. So with that, any other comments that we need to make? I think everybody's commented on it. So I think our next order of business is to actually vote on approving the master plan and recommending it to council for adoption. And so the chair would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Jerry seconds it.
Okay. Motion and a second. Now, if we will go back through the roll again, and if you have any comments about the motion on the floor, you make them. If you don't, just say have no comments, and we'll move forward to the vote. So if you want to go through the list again, Eileen, that'd be great.
Mr. Daly?
No further comment.
Mr. Okama?
No further comments.
Mr. Monmonier?
No further comments.
Mr. Bose?
No further comments.
Mr. Dowling?
No further comments.
Mr. Zarilla?
No further comments.
Mr. Chairman?
No further comments. Having a motion and second on the floor, we will call for a vote, and so one more time we'll go through the vote and say yes or no, and again, if Eileen, if you'll go through the list.
Mr. Daly? Okay. Mr. Okama?
Yes.
Mr. Monmonier?
Yes.
I'm never going to get that name right. Mr. Bose?
Approve.
Mr. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Zarilla?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Thank you very much. This is the master plan that we have now adopted and have approved and are sending forward to council for their adoption. Has been a great effort on all of our behalfs. And it's the first master plan that we've had since 1995. So it's been a long time coming, and I congratulate each of you in getting this done. So it's a good day for Parks and Recreation on Hilton Head Island. All right. At this time, let's see. Do we have election of officers for this next term, 2021 term. So would anyone like to make a motion to nominate a board member to serve as chair for this next term?
Yes, I would like to make the motion that Butch continue as chair on this board while he's here for this next year.
And I would
Okay.
definitely second that motion.
All right. Are there any additional nominations? I hear a train whistle back in the background somewhere. Well, hearing none, Eileen, if you would call the roll, we'll vote on that.
Mr. Daly?
Oop.
Mr. Daly?
I think he was dropped off.
He's popping in and out. He'll probably could be right back.
Mr. Okama?
Yes.
Mr. Monmonier? I
Yes.
apologize.
No, it's just funny hearing you struggle. I'll tell you I'll call you
Okay.
and tell you. It's fine.
You better tell all of us.
Yeah, right.
All right. It's Monmonier. It's Monmonier. Monmonier.
Monmonier. Okay.
I've got one more shot at it. Mr. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Zarilla?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm happy to. Did Mr. Daly come back? I'm not sure where he went. Technology is a wonderful thing. So I'm going to say that the motion carried, and I'm honored that you would want me to continue as chair, and I appreciate your support. So, okay, so would anyone like to make a motion to nominate a board member to serve as vice chair for this next term? Hello. Right now, Paul Bose serves as vice chair.
I'll nominate Paul Bose to stay as vice chair.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
I
that.
second.
Paul, you okay with that? All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. In that case, then Eileen, let's go back through the roll again, and we'll vote on Paul as the vice chair.
Mr. Daly? Mr. Okama?
Yes, from me. Daly's back.
Mr. Daly?
What are we voting on? The
Vice
nomination.
chair.
Vice chair.
Paul
Okay.
Bose.
Hey, yes.
Okay. Mr. Monmonier? I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's yes. Yes.
Mr. Bose?
Yes.
Mr. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Zarilla?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, we're set up for another year, and do we have? I know technology is a wonderful thing. If you have any other comments you would like to make, if you'll raise your hand, let's do that instead of calling the roll. Anybody have anything they'd like to say? Jerry.
Well, I just really have a question. I'm unfamiliar with the process now that it goes to town council. Is this a situation where they kind of approve it as is or not approve it as is? Or can they cherry pick and say, well, I like this, I don't like that? I'm just wondering what's the dynamic here? And maybe Taylor knows that. I don't know.
My 2 cents worth would be the council can do anything they want to do. I mean, they're the elected body and they can do whatever, but we are recommending that they adopt this plan, this master plan as is. And that would be my expectation that they would do that, especially with consideration that this plan is really serving as the backup for the action items that are in the comprehensive plan. And I would recommend, I don't know if you have, if all of you have a copy of those recommendations on the Parks and Rec section to the comprehensive plan. I don't know if that's come out yet or not, but if it has, I would strongly recommend that we get those to you so you can see what those action items actually are. I may be overstepping my bounds there, Taylor or Eileen, or if anybody, but if I am, just let me know. But I think that's the next step, and it'll go to one of the meetings. They'll adopt it, and then we'll move forward to getting it, inserted into the comp plan. Does that sound okay? Okay. Any other comments?
I think
right,
just to answer something.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep. You went away.
No. Oh well.
Go ahead.
You can hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I was just going to answer Jerry's question from earlier. Yeah, the one thing it recommended structurally was a town staff.
I think what Jack's getting at, Jerry, is that in the comp plan recommendations, the recommendation is that there be a Parks and Recreation director position established and a department to run everything, and that it would work in conjunction with the Island Rec Association, and we've taken over maintenance of the county facilities to go along with all the town facilities. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. With that, to our.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
The way, and just to clarify for you guys, since you didn't see it, the action items that Mr. Chairman is talking about were included in the draft of our plan section 4 that was part of the task group's agenda packet earlier this month. So it's available on that meeting listing on the town's website. But the action items are the extras. The town has evaluated the LOS plan and the recommendations from that. And we've also listened to public input and input from our professionals and board members about that plan. And we've added on to that with action items that will be in the comprehensive plan. So these say, in addition to what the LOS plan recommends, the town also will be considering these items. And Mr. Okarma, one of those items was the addition of a town parks director position. And there will not be a separate department, but it's to be determined kind of where that position would fall within the town's existing structure. But the big thing is that there is a proposal to consider a town parks director position in town staff. And then in the action items, it lists 5 bullet points for what that job responsibility would entail.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Taylor. All right. So to Joe and Bill, welcome. Look forward to working with you. To the rest of the commission, as we sit right now, job well done, but we've got more to do. I appreciate your confidence in me to keep the chair position, and to Paul as vice chair. And if there are no further comments, then the meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is adjourned. Okay?
Okay.
That's it.